So we'll start today. I'll be doing a lot of screen sharing and hopefully bouncing through a bunch of tabs. We'll see how that goes. So I just want to start real quick for those of you who are a little less familiar with our data partnership with eBRI, what it looks like. So the idea behind this, we call it the Public Retirement Research Lab, or the PRRL, was that there's just not very much data in public sector DC plans, and that's a problem we were trying to solve. So the way we went about it was to partner with eBRI, who had the kind of unusual ability to move participant level data. So if most of you have signed up to be part of this program, what you did was you filled out an authorization on our website, which I'll show you in a minute. What that does is it triggers us to get in touch with your record keeper. Then your record keeper adds you to their list of plans that want to transfer data. That participant level data is transferred to eBRI. eBRI is the Employee Benefits Research Institute. They're a think tank out of DC, a nonpartisan think tank who's done a lot of good research in the benefits space for a long time. So they get the participant level data. It doesn't have any PII, nothing identifiable, no names, no birth dates, no employer numbers or anything like that. And then what they do for us, so we use that for research, but we also wanted to use it for benchmarking. So they have a couple of other databases. They have an IRA database, a 401k database, wellness database, and several others. What they did for us that they don't do for any of those other databases is they take all of that individual level data, the participant level data, combine it at the plan level, kind of recombine it into plan level medians and averages and overall numbers. And then they send it, that plan level data, they send it to us to put onto our data portal. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We take it, put it onto the data portal, with the idea being that we turn that data around to you so that you all can use it to benchmark. So where that can be found on our website, if you haven't done it yet, you can go on our main page here to the data center and to the PRRL participation form. And then that PRRL participation form, the site looks like this. It has a lot of information. If you haven't signed up, things to consider, how the data moves, all that kind of stuff. We know data is a very important topic and one you want to know a lot about. Make sure it's safe. So you can read all of that. And then we have this form that you can fill out. So this, it's not any kind of a legally binding form. It just tells you what you're doing. All of your record keepers will get in touch with you. I think that is their process pretty clearly. So all you have to do is fill out who you are, what your plan is, what your email address is, and who your record keeper is, and then turn this in. And then that's it. We'll take it from there, and then we'll get your data into the portal. A lot of the record keepers will have kind of secondary forms for you to sign to make sure that you did that. But once you do, then your data will be transferred into our data portal and into our eBRI database. So now we'll get into accessing the database itself. And again, if there are any questions throughout, just let me know. I'll be screen sharing and kind of looking up at the screen that hopefully you all can see right now. So if you have anything, just hit the hand raise or come on the screen on your video or whatever, and we'll answer whatever you have. So let's talk portal. So our data portal, you can find on a lot of spots. We try to put it in as many spots as possible on our homepage. So you can find it in the data center if you go to benchmarking portal. You can find it in the resources if you go to benchmarking portal. You can scroll down about this far on the website and find benchmarking portal. All of those things will take you to the same place, and they will take you to this site, which is kind of our landing page, explains the partnership in case you're new to it, and then has this portal login button. So once you get here to log into the data portal, that will take you to this tab. Sorry. That will take you to this one here. Sorry about that. Stop sharing for a minute. So that'll take you to our benchmarking page here, which you should be able to see. Now, what you can see on this is that it says authorization failed. We're working on the language on this. So we actually talked to our company that creates the portal yesterday. They created this language because they wanted to make sure that if somebody logged on incorrectly, they knew that it was an incorrect login. If you're already logged into your NAGDA site, so if you're the person who signed up for the portal, like you put in your name as the authorizer of the portal, your NAGDA single sign-on will get you to the right place. So that will get you to the site that will get you on, and it will get you into your data. And so that is, even if you're already logged in, it comes to this screen, and all you have to do is hit this button that says log in again, and that'll take you into it. So we're working through that to try to make sure that it's not too confusing, but we know that, you know, seeing something that says, hey, authorization failed isn't ideal. So we're going to try to separate if you actually failed on your authorization from just your initial login. But for now, just know that you have to click on that button. So once you click on the login button, it'll take you to this page. So this is the main portal page. There are a couple of areas that I want to point out. So the first is that we added a new section this year called consultant management. So some of the feedback that we've gotten in the past was that a lot of you aren't going in to do your own benchmarking. You have consultants for that, or you have your relationship manager from your record keeper for that. And so you wanted them to be able to access your page through and see your data. So generally we've had a page where they could come and see the universe of data, but they couldn't see your data specifically. And this tab helps us to solve that problem. So what this tab does is when you click on consultant management, you can add, and we call it a consultant, but it could be anybody. This could be somebody from your staff. It could be a relationship manager from your record keeper. It could be a consultant. It could be somebody on your committee. You can add any email here, any name. And once you put an email in, it'll come up to create an account. So once you put in the information and create an account, it'll send an email, which I'll show you in a little bit, to that individual with a specific login so that they can access your data. So that's something new this year, something that we're happy to add because we know that being on the same page with your service provider is really important. So we built this so that you can add them. You can also take them out. So, you know, if you change service providers or somebody, you know, you had added a committee member and you want to take them off, you can remove that person from your page. Okay, so that's this is a new area. We haven't had this on any past iterations of this, but it should allow anybody beyond, you know, it used to be just the single point of contact had access to your data. Now that single point of contact has this consultant management page that allows you to manage who has permissions to access the portal and see your data inside the portal. Does anybody have any questions about that? Assume that the answer is no. Okay. So when you get into the portal, we have these 5 tabs that are the primary working tabs that you'll look at. Okay, the first thing that we have is the homepage here. So this gives you a little bit of information about each of the tabs. It also has a report year. So for now, we just have our 2022 report, which is 2021 data. So that might be a little confusing because obviously we're putting it out in 2024. We've been working through some kinks to make to get the data through the system. So the latest data that we have is our 2021 data. So for those of you who participated essentially since 2022, your data is in the portal. You'll have access to the site. You click this plan year. In subsequent years, We're not going to change any of the data parameters that we have. So we are going for now. So we're going to have, you'll be able to look at multiple years of data. So you could look at the 2023, 24, 25 reports. We called it the 2022 report this year because our hope is to get the 2022 and 23 and 24 data in the next 18 months to 2 years. And we didn't want to call this the 2024 report with 2021 data and then have another report come out this year that's the 2024 report with 2022 data. It's confusing enough as it is. So right now, the only year of data that we have is the 2022. And then you can go, and I'll show you a little different example of this in a minute, but you can go to your plan. So if you have multiple plans, you would select which plan you want to look at on this section here. So if you have a 401A, you have a 457, you have a 401K, 403B, whatever it may be, this dropdown for whatever data was sent, whatever data your record keeper sent in. So assuming you authorized all plans, which most systems do, you can look individually at each one. So you can't look at all of them at the same time. We created a report in the past that was kind of a combined look for your participants of all plan, all balances, and all contributions. It was a little too confusing. So this on the portal right now, all the data you would look at is separated by each plan that your folks are participating in. So you just select the year, select the plan, and that's going to input the data and change the data that's going to be in these really next 4 tabs. Okay. And again, if any questions, I'm just going to keep going. Any questions along the way, let me know. So we'll go into the first tab here, which is static reports. You're going to have 2 static reports on this page. One is the industry report, which I think most of you are familiar with at this point. And the other is this plan performance report, which is data from your plan. So I'm going to stop sharing for a minute and share this. So this is your kind of universe report. This is the industry report that's on that static page. Most of you have probably seen this in the past. This is something that we've run for quite a while. It has all kinds of different breakouts. It's about 90 pages long. You can look at essentially the universe of data. It doesn't have your plan in it, so it's just the universe, but it has things like some infographics at the front to talk about different macro level numbers. It also has data about, for example, investments. You can see what percentage of total assets is invested in different types of funds for 457 plans, 401k. It breaks it out by all different types, by participants, and on and on and on. So there are quite a few different breakouts. Hopefully you've had a chance to check that out. It's also on that main page of the website I showed you before, but you can download it off of that static documents page directly from the portal. So that is the same for everybody. You also have a plan performance report that's specific to your plan. So the plan performance report is similar in that it has most of the same breakouts. We break out by different types and sizes and whether you're voluntary or supplemental. So this is one for a plan that I was attached to. And what you'll see is that you have your data in the first column of your plan performance report, everybody, and then some breakouts based on the type of plan that your plan is. So you'll have multiple of these if you have multiple plans, but for example, this is a 457, that's a multi-employer plan, that's voluntary. So it has multi-employer, 457, supplemental as the different categories. And you can see each of these broken out. And if you go down, there's, it's by size and all kinds of different ways that your data breaks out. So this is just a static PDF. It's a lot of the data that's in the portal in PDF form. You can print this out, send it in, send it to whoever you want on your team, and share that with anybody. So this is just something you can download and keep on your desktop if you don't want to log into the portal over and over again. Okay. I'll pause there as I switch back to portal. Any questions? Maybe we have one chat. Okay, so we did have a question about, and this is a good one. Do we have a question? We had a question about authorization and how the authorization is set up. So the way that we set it up so that you don't have to keep signing up every single year is that you're kind of auto enrolled in the next year's data, but we'll always send you a reminder each year to make sure that you still want to be in. So you'll get a reminder that says, hey, are you sure you want to be part of the data portal? If so, let us know. If not, let us know. If you do want to stay in, you don't have to do anything. So if you want to continue to be in the database, we haven't had anybody stop contributing data yet, but that is always an option. And but you do have, so you will be kind of auto enrolled in it the next year and subsequent years, as long as you tell us, as long as you don't tell us that you want to get out. So really good question there, Paul. The other thing that I do want to point out, I didn't really mention, is that if you signed up or somebody from your plan, that you're contributing data and that person leaves, just get in touch with us. So if your primary contact has left and your single point, like single sign-on, would be connected to that person. So you just need to tell us, hey, Linda signed up for the portal a couple of years ago. She's now retired. Make me the point of contact. And you would be the new person who would get to do, would get the single sign-on access. If you have a couple people who, if say with Virginia, Rachel's on, if you and Kelly wanted to both have access through the single sign-on, that's no problem. We can do that. Just let Carly or Josh or I know, and we can have you added to the list. We don't do it for a couple of reasons. We don't do it for service providers. One is a lot of them aren't NAGDA members, so their membership system is a little different. It's through the individual and not through the company. So some of them aren't NAGDA members, and trying to keep track of all of those, as you're changing service providers, trying to keep track of all those sign-ons was more work than we wanted to take on. So they will have a separate login, or anybody that isn't on your kind of primary list will have a separate login, and that's managed through that consultant management system that we showed before. Okay. So on that note, if you add somebody on the consultant management, through that consultant management tab, they will get an email from industryinsights.com. That is the service provider that we use for our portal. Like it's a totally custom site. They've developed it from the ground up for us. So they're the ones who will manage those permissions. So you would get this email. It would say, hey, here's your name and here's your login. So that is the login that person has to use if they want to go to the portal, even if they're a NAGDA member. So if you've assigned them through your consultant management, or if it's a staff member that you've assigned, or if it's a committee member, they have this specific login that they have to use. So that will be different than their NAGDA login. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. This was a new feature that we had this year. And that's one that we are really happy about. So we got a question: if we're getting a runtime error when trying to log into the portal, is there a reason for that? Probably the reason, most likely, is that you're not the person. There's two reasons. One is either you might not have data in the portal. So some people kind of assume that they do, but don't always. And then another thing that happens is that maybe somebody from your government signed up and they're the key contact. If you're trying to sign in through your NAGDA login and you're not the primary contact or the person who signed up for the portal, your login is not connected to that data. So if that's the case, just let us know, whoever that was, and we can take a look at it. There's also the chance that it's just messed up. And we try to scrub that list. You know, we have 226 plans in. We probably have 300 or so single sign-ons that we're trying to manage right now. There's always the chance that one of those is incorrect. So again, there are a couple of reasons. If you're having trouble logging in, just let us know. Okay. We can get that fixed within, you know, our folks are really responsive, so we can get that fixed really quickly. This is the screen that your folks will see if they log in. So if you log in through that email, you click on the link, it looks like this. Probably it's a better screen. We'll probably move towards something more like this for everybody, but it's a little difficult with the single sign-on. This is if you are not using the single sign-on. So this is if you're not logging in with your NAGDA login. And what you can do here is you just put in the information that you had from that email. So this is for a service provider look. I would have my email and then the password that was in that email. And then I just hit login and it'll take me to the site. So this is the look for a service provider. What they can do, the thing that we were really happy to add this year was that they can do this for multiple plans. So if your consultant has 50 clients who are in the portal, they want to access the data for each of those clients, they can just have each plan add them to their list. And then they'll have this drop down of as many plans as want to add that person. So I had a couple of plans add me just to test this out. So you can see that the state of Missouri and CalSTRS both added me. If I want to look at CalSTRS data, all I have to do is click on that tab, but we'll stick with state of Missouri for right now. And I'll go check out their data. Okay, so you'll notice that consultant management tab went away, or that consultant management feature went away. That's because I was added to this plan. So I can't then go in and add more people. I'm a secondary user, so I can't manage the consultants. It's only that primary user who can manage the permissions to the site. Okay, so there's kind of a single point of failure, maybe a couple if you get in touch with us, but we try to limit that so they can't add, you know, anybody they want to add. You'll see that down here on the primary page, it changed to the state of Missouri. If Missouri had multiple plans, so that, you know, on that last screen, I would click state of Missouri. If Missouri had multiple plans, I could pick their 401A, their 457, whatever I want to look at. They only have a 457, so there's only one option. Okay. All right, so we looked at the static reports. Good questions so far. Performance graphs are just kind of general performance graphs. So these may or may not be super helpful. You know, just how many plans have a DB component, how many have auto enrollment, things like that. So you can look through those for kind of a state of the universe look. The two tabs that you're probably most interested in are these two. So we'll spend some time on these. This is called your interactive plan performance report. So if you remember, you had the plan performance report that was that static document, and you could see your data and then a bunch of different cuts. And so what this does is if you go, hey, that's neat, but I want to see different groups, you can come in here and pick any groups you want. So if you say, hey, I want to see 457 plans, and I want to see single employer, and I want to see, you know, supplemental plans, and I want to see under 250 participants, you can do each of those things. So then I would just hit build report. It'll spin for a minute and build out. And then what it does is it essentially builds all of the tables that you saw in that static document previously. So you can see my firm, which is the state of Missouri. You can see the whole industry, so mine's a multi-employer. It shows what percent are multi-employer in the whole industry. What percent of 457s then are multi-employer, what percent of single employers, obviously that's 100% and zero, supplemental plans, and number of participants under 250. So you can see that these different breaks are all split out, and it gives you an N number. So there are 139 plans in the database that are 457s. There are 160 plans that are single employer, 185 that are supplemental, and 60 that are under 200 or under 250 participants. So you can scroll down here. look at whatever data points you want. A neat feature that we added this year. So for example, I'll take the female total account balances per participant. So you can see I have, again, my data and then all those breakouts. If I'm trying to look at, say, the 45 to 54-year-old demographic for female participants, and I want to use that in a presentation with my board, I could just click that graph and then screenshot this this graph that it produces. So there's my firm. My average account balances for my females, 45 to 54, is $27,000. The industry average is 65,000, and then on and on and on with the different breakouts that that I selected. You can do up to 5 of those breakouts. You can just select one. So if you just wanted to look at, me versus 457s, you just go back to selecting none on all these, and then you're going to have your 139 457s. It'll just be you side by side with the 457 universe on that report. You can export that to Excel. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. So that if you want to take this offline, build a bunch of graphs out of it yourself, do all kinds of things with it, or if your consultant or your relationship manager wants to do that, you can do that here. Just click the button. Okay. All right. I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to move on to our last section. Okay, so this is probably the part that's most of interest to everybody. So the drawback of the way that the plan performance report is set is that everything is separated. So you can look at 457 plans or 401A plans or 401K plans. You may also be interested in, plans with less than 250% and less than $50 million in assets. This tool, your custom benchmark tool, allows you to create that pool of plans that meet all of those criteria. So what that looks like, you click on the custom benchmark tab. And again, you can select any of the plans you want to look at. This is the Missouri 457. You go to filter results. So I can filter out any type of plan that I want based on these characteristics. So if I'm a multi-employer plan, which this plan is, I can also look at 457s, and maybe I want to see 401ks as well. It'll continue to update the number of plans at the bottom here that meet all of those criteria. So multi-employer and either a 457 or a 401k, there are 45 in the database. I want a supplemental plan, so that takes me down to 42. I'm a big plan, so I want to be over 6,000 participants. And I also want to be over $450 million in assets. And you can see that that takes me to 24 plans that meet all of these criteria. Okay. And so that is the report that I would build. Now I'm going to show you real quick, if you try to constrain it too far. So if I say, hey, I only want primary 457 plans that are that large, there aren't very many. There probably aren't, maybe there aren't any. But if there's less than 5, it'll say that the results can't be displayed. So we did that so that, if your plan has some kind of unique characteristics, say you are the only 457 that's primary over 6,000 participants, $450 million, somebody else can't constrain the different data fields here, and then just look at your plan and compare theirs with yours side by side. So you're always comparing to a pool, and you're always comparing to the medians and averages in those pools. So you're never comparing just to one plan. You're going to be comparing to a set of plans. So let's just look at the multi-employer 457s that are supplemental and over 6,000 participants and over $450 million in assets. So that gives us 20 plans, which is a pretty good set to benchmark against. And again, at the top here, it'll tell you all those things that you filtered out. And then it'll set you up side by side. So the industry here is not the whole industry. That is your group that you created. That is those 20 plans that you designated as the ones you want to look at that meet all of those criteria. So you'll see, for example, I picked multi-employer. So I'm a multi-employer and 100% of the group is multi-employer. I picked 457, so I'm a 457 and so is 100% of the group. Same thing with supplemental. Then you get broken out a little bit. So voluntary contributions is one that we do allow in the voluntary section. So it might be a mandatory plan with voluntary contributions. I'm a state plan, but not all of these have to be state. There are some supplemental plans that aren't state, or sorry, some multi-employer plans that are not state. You can see automatic enrollment and all kinds of different features. And again, you can scroll down and look at any of these fields side by side. So this is just a one-to-one comparison. We can go again to my female total account balances per participant. And then I get a pretty good sense of that group of very like plans. How do my balances compare? And you can look at the main data fields that we have are balances, contributions, number of investments, type of investments. So it breaks down pretty granularly down in the bottom to things like, how much money do you have in off-the-shelf target date funds, risk-based funds, all kinds of different kind of broad categories that we agreed on were the main ones in the industry. And then you can get down into, active versus passive funds, mutual funds versus commingled versus multiple vehicle types, white labels, all that kind of stuff. So there's plenty to look at. Again, if you go back up to the top, you can export these results to Excel. And I will show you what that looks like. I have to stop sharing for a minute to get that up. So your export would look pretty much the same as the online data fields would look. So this is, again, a pretty similar setup. Then you could go through each and you could build out, if we focus on our females per participant, we could build a graph in here and just do, some kind of basic analysis, or your consultant can do all of this on their own, assuming that you've assigned them to your plan, and they can wow you with all of their different information that they're going to provide. So that feature is kind of our main feature, and the one that we spent the most time developing to make sure that you could find. We know that all of your plans are very different. We wanted you to find that group that you feel is the most apples to apples comparison for yourself. So again, you can go in any type of cut that you want to make in those different kind of buckets, those different structures you can make. And then you can change this up, and you could add 401ks if you also wanted them in there. If you want single instead of multi-employer, you can do that. It doesn't have to be what your plan is. You can select any of those different buckets and types. The last section is definitions. We're still building this out, so this is in the early phase. We do want to make sure that everybody understands exactly what the data points are. So those will be coming very soon. We have a few initially, but that's still very much in the works. Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions, but now's your chance. Is there anything else that I didn't cover? Anything that's confusing? I know that, when we're talking data and we're talking, the different types of data that's moving or different cuts that we have, it can get quite technical, but now's the time. If you have any thoughts, any questions, any concerns, let me know. Okay. Well, we'll take that. So hopefully this is something that you all feel like you can use. That's the reason we created it. If you have any feedback, if you get into it and you go, hey, this is something I'd really like you to change for next year, or this is a great add-on that I think would be really helpful, let us know. So we have a committee, Rachel's on it from VRS, and a few other people. They're helping us look at next year and what do we want to add, what do we want to change, what could we do better. We're really putting this together so that you understand how your plan's doing and how it fits into the universe. So the better we can do that, the happier we'll be, and hopefully the happier you'll be. Okay. So unless there's anything else from anybody, we're going to call it a day. Thank you all for coming on. If you have any other questions or need any help or need to get any other authorizations, don't feel just don't hesitate to reach out to Josh or me or Carly. We'll get you set up. Okay. All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. Appreciate your time.